Hello, hello. Get my light. Let's see, which one is it? Trying to get a little closer. All right. Hello, everyone. Sorry, just trying to rush to get this set up. You'd think by now that I'd have this down right away. Bonjour, y'all. Let's see. If you can let me know you can hear me, hopefully you can. Hello, Rondi. Hello, Bisto. Kathy. Hello, Kathy. Augie, Lynn Marie, Patricia, Rose, Pamela J, Medusa. Awesome. Awesome. Well, glad y'all could make it. Wish I could get a little bit more light in here so it doesn't seem like I'm so yellow. Let's see. That helps out a little bit. Oh, Jean-Marc, hello. Hello. Hope you're doing well. Let's see. Oh, thank you, Kathy. Appreciate that. Letting me know that you can hear me. Let's see. Bernadette, Lisa, Deborah, Debbie, bonsoir. Hope everyone's doing well. I can hear you now that the commercials are over, and I waited 13 more seconds, hopefully. Oh, well, thank you, thank you, Pamela. Hello, Sue. Phew. Well, we certainly have some interesting events coming up here. It looks like in France over the next week or so. So we'll see how all this plays out. Bonsoir, Josephine. But Dana and Norma, hello. Jose, oh, good evening from Florida. Okay, cool. Glad you could make it. Sorry, just got up here a little late, and so just got rushed to try to get this all set up. Sandra, hello, howdy from Phoenix, howdy. But no, I guess we find out this week. Well, I think tomorrow is the. Oh, and Judy, hello. Tomorrow is the vote of confidence here in the French government. So find out, and everybody's expecting that the prime minister is going to be no vote of confidence, so that'll collapse the government. And guess we'll see what all transpires with that. Florida. And Janet, bonjour. And Robin, bonjour. But yes, Macron will still be president. Yes, you're right, Jean-Marc. It's the prime minister that's probably going to be removed, so or resigned or whatever happens with it. Since that's what they're anticipating anyway, is that there's not going to be a vote of confidence, and he's going to be booted out. So then Macron will have to pick another prime minister. But lots of things going on here. It looks like in the next, I think the 10th they might start doing some striking, and I think it's the 18th and 19th that some major strikes are planned. So we'll see. Declutter, dream, depart. Yay, you made it to live. We appreciate you making it. Let's see, Bernadette, I'm backing France. That is the most ridiculous speech ever from a prime minister. Yeah, especially somebody who comes from a farming background in the southwest of France. I just was surprised, that. But in any case, it's what happens, I suppose. Jennifer, I don't think they want me as prime minister. Deborah, headed over for a month in Lyon and 2 months in Nice. Appreciated your live meetups. Picked up a lot. Oh, that's great. Great. Well, hope you enjoyed Lyon and certainly Nice. I'm sure Nice would be very nice too. I really like Lyon. I thought it was a beautiful city. Let's see, declutter, dream, depart. He was sort of a let them eat cake kind of guy, wasn't he? It certainly came off that way. That's what's unfortunate. So, oh, and Ty, hello, hello. Yeah, they're going through. I mean, France has a financial, lots of financial issues, which several countries do, but France in particular, apparently in the EU. And so they're looking at doing some more austerity measures type thing, kind of similar to what's going on in the UK. And but the prime minister, his recommendations, along with some significant budget cuts, has also been like we need to reduce the number of public holidays so that more people can work more. And not surprisingly, that did not go over well with the public in general. So. Jean-Marc, Lyon, not for me. A little too busy now. Yeah, that's what I liked about the city. I like the metro. I like the tram networks. Just seemed a lot of connectivity, which that's what I really liked about it. Carlene, hello, hello. Feliciano, hello from Cherokee County, Georgia. Oh, you're getting up toward North Georgia there, but we'll see what happens. E. Corey, salute from San Diego. Hello, hello. I guess they said that there were they had some similar strikes that occurred earlier in the 2000s, and it's going to later in September. I think the 18th and 19th. It's going to be targeting like trains and aircraft. Airports. So it's going to be like air traffic controllers and trains and things that's in buses potentially. So we'll see how much of an impact that kind of ripples through even here into Perpignan. But it'll be interesting. So we'll see what September brings us here. But they seem to be getting much more organized on doing these strikes. I heard that they were even going to be like high schoolers are going to get involved, and like there's going to be boycotting of the schools and trying to keep kids out of going to school and that. So let's see, Robin, what are critics of the budget proposal offering solutions? I haven't seen. There may be something out there, but I just think that right now they seem to be all the politicians seem to be posturing for just getting control. So, right now they see the current government as being pretty weak, and so I think that's what they're just targeting. So let's see, Lee, hello from West Phoenix. Okay, hello, Noni, I'm doing fine. Thank you so much. Hope you're doing well too. Laurent, hi mate, from Sonestep. Oh yeah, contact me one day, we could meet. Yeah, if you just want to, Laurent, if you could just reach out to me via email, that would be great. And then I'll be happy to meet up with you sometime. Let's see, Jean-Marc, if you're thinking of France, apply now, Americans, don't wait. Yeah, it's we'll see what happens too with all the hoo-ha that's going on in Washington and what they're doing around the cities in the U.S. That's just not going to be pretty. Bernadette, on the public holidays, especially the ones he chose. Hope it all works out without strikes, but love that the French people stand in solidarity. Yeah, that certainly seems to have brought out a lot of solidarity with the folks here. So in May, May has 3 public holidays, and they do scatter across the month. So there's Miss Freya. Freya, they want to see you. They don't care about me. They want to see you. I hope you're just going to walk over there. Okay. But in any case, we'll see how it all turns out. I just hope that I don't lose my my, my bus service that I have here, but we'll make do. Whatever happens, we'll make do. Let's see. Carlene, I arrived in Paris from London for my new job in December 1995. Oh, wow. In the middle of one of the largest strikes in a long time. Never walked so much in my life. Yeah, I bet. I bet. Yeah, I would imagine it's going to be much more impactful in the larger cities, but um, we'll see if the bus service gets impacted here too. Oh, she's going up for some snacks. But oops. All right. Sorry. Don't mean to interrupt you. Jean-Marc, we need more public holidays. I don't know. There's a lot of public holidays here. That's the thing. Several of the French people I interact with a lot of the time, most of the time actually, have asked me what my thoughts were on the whole thing with the public holidays. And I said, it's hard as a person from the United States that, it's not nearly as many public holidays in the US as it is here. And so, and I told him, I said, May is really chopped up. It's, you go, I think every other week or something like that ends up being a 4-day week. So, and I'm sure people do the 3-day or 4-day weekends type thing. So, I kind of see it. They just could have really, really presented it a lot better than what they did. So, Kathy, how is Freya feeling now? I took her to the vet, found a new vet here, and those recommended, and they're great. They're great. They speak. She speaks a little bit of English, but enough to be able to communicate, pretty easily. And took her in last week. I think it was on Monday, and just like cats are, just like nothing was wrong. Sorry, I need to adjust this light to see if I can. I just feel like I'm getting darker and darker here. Like nothing was wrong, and she gave her some sort of I think it was like a topical tick and heartworm and something else, little dab on the back of the neck sort of thing. And I tell you that, and I don't know if that was it might have just been because she was at the vet and she got, just overly anxious or excited or whatever it was type thing. But I mean, she just was back to normal in no time. And she's been perfectly fine since. So, probably just a bad bout of, maybe she had some sort of a cold. Cats get those too, as do dogs. But, like I said, nothing was alarming from it other than she just was getting to be more throw up-ishy than normal, which she rarely does that. So that's what was kind of throwing me off. But anyway, she's doing great. Thank you for asking. Jean-Marc, in America, 2 weeks holiday if you're lucky and work until you drop dead. Not far from the truth. But, I can't say, I was fortunate that I had, my last job I had in corporate world, I think I had maybe it was 5 weeks of vacation, something, but I've been working for 1,000 years. So the thing was, I rarely ever took it. Vacations were never my thing. So it just was, stupidly, so yeah, you just kind of get that mindset, and the French do not have that mindset, which kudos to them for that attitude. Let's see. Aiko, hello. Glad you could make it. Kathy, my dogs. Mom just got paid. Let's limp and cough. Also, facts. Fortunately, took her to the vet. It was just, they didn't do anything. There were no X-rays or EKGs or any sort of tests. She did an exam. She felt the organs. We went through the issues and all that sort of thing. She did the little dip of, hey, you got to come up here. They want to see you. But they put the little dab behind her neck. They trimmed her nails for me and something. Just checkups. Oh, and I got a tube of something to put along her mouth so that it'll help with the hairballs. And I paid 52 euros, I think it was, for the visit. So can't really complain about that. Let's see. Oop. Hey, Freya, come here. Come here. They want to see you. Well, kind of. Get out of her way. But, oops, I may be skipping somebody. Oh, it looks like Ty's typing messages. Let me get retracted. Yeah, well, May 1st is Labor Day. And then I think there is an Ascension Day. May 15th, is that Ascension Day? And then something else later in the month. But let's see. Bernadette, do you know how far in advance we can apply for our long-term French visa? I think it's 3 months. I think you have to be ready to, I think you have to have things ready to go like within 90 days. I believe. I think that's what it was when I did mine. Janet, wow, that's very reasonable for vet. Totally, like I said, in the U.S., the vet I had in the U.S. in the north of it, just north of Atlanta, were very good about this is going to cost this is going to cost that, so you can kind of help you make the decision whether or not you want to do something. And here, I didn't ask them about the prices. I just was you just kind of hope that the prices are going to be reasonable, and it turned out it was. She's getting a little zippy now. But let's see. Patricia, in the U.S., you work like a dog before and after vacations. Not worth the extra stress. When I retired, I just took the cash. Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't have the option for cashing out my vacation and that. So that, but I'm happy to not be doing that now. So. Let's see. Pamela, my max was 3 weeks vacation and a few holidays. Happened once. One job, I didn't even have sick days. I think that was in Florida. Yeah, I've been fortunate that I've never had to deal with probably early in my career, probably in the 80s and 90s, there was this whole sick day thing where you only had so many days or hours that were available to you. But as I worked my way up, I think they all kind of morphed into a unlimited sick leave, but that wasn't policy for everybody in the company, and that always bugged me. So let's see, Carlene, that would have been closer to $200. Yeah, I don't think I ever left the vet in the U.S. for less than a couple $100. Just regardless of whatever it was that go in there. Iko, yes, it's 90 days. Yep. Okay, Noni, I just took my dog for his annual checkup, past meds and vaccines. And anal glands, yep, plus 2 doses of meds, and even with a 40% discount, it's nearly $200. Yeah, it's not. Pets are not cheap, that's for sure. I've never had pet insurance, so I don't know. And they advertise that here too, but I've never taken up on it. I just always foot the bill for whatever comes up. It would have helped with Thor, my other cat that I had prior to moving here, because he was not throwing, but he was having issues with mast cell tumors, and those can pop up anywhere. And there was the last one I did with him was like on his shoulder blade or one of his shoulder blades. And the recovery was easy, and everything was fine with when they got it taken out and all that. But it cost me $1,600, and it's like you're you're a pound kitty. This is a lot of money to be spending on, this. And of course, they just, with mast cell tumors, with what he had, they could pop up, 20 minutes, 20 days, 20 years, type thing. So let's see. Am I missing anybody here? Miss Ciara, Jean-Marc, everyone was asking about you on the EG chat yesterday. Yes, Jean-Marc, know that everybody's sending you positive thoughts and energy. Hopefully all that gets well. Jean Marc, let's see. Well, from Europe is 3 months in advance to apply, but applying from the US, as long as your visa ready, you can give the date you want to land in France. Yeah, but I think, Jean Marc, I think it's still 90 days. Like I wouldn't be able to do it like 6 months in advance type thing. I think there is a cutoff period for doing that. Well, Jean Marc, we're glad to see you. That's for sure. Glad things are improving for you. Let's see, Rose, the holes from Atlanta, South Carolina. Hope to be meeting you in December. Valerie's. Oh, good for you. I'm glad that. No, Valerie, just an awesome person. That honestly, if there's anybody that's looking for anywhere in France, she seems to have connections everywhere. So she's happy to help. There might be some like she's from Paris, so she may feel comfortable in helping you find something in Paris if that's the area that you're targeting. But pretty much anywhere else in France, she has some sort of connections with people. So Miss Yara, I had a French bulldog, very expensive, needed pet insurance. Yeah, I bet. I bet any of the dogs with kind of the pug noses, I'm sure, or cats for that matter. Excuse me, for that matter too. Probably that's a good idea. Let's see, Aliciano, Jeff, can you talk about if your expenses internationally in retirement are more or less than you thought, or what experts suggest you need? I would like to retire early internationally. Well, and of course, I can only speak from here in Perpignan, France. So not even all of France, just where I live. So far, I found everything to be far less expensive. I mean, I had an idea. I did a lot of research prior to it, but so I knew that things were going to be less expensive. Otherwise, I wouldn't have done this. But I will say that things have been very much less expensive than certainly what I would have had in the U.S. for the same thing. So it's um, I think they recommend like you have 25 to 30,000. It all depends. If you don't have passive income, so if you don't have either rental income or Social Security, things like that, then or if you're withdrawing from IRAs and all that sort of thing, then you'll burn through the money. It's not, but you can be careful with it too. So if you cook a lot, if you like to cook, food here is really great quality and it's much less expensive to me than what it was in the US. And certainly now that they seem to be, you know, shutting down all the people who are working in the field. So I'm sure that's going to mean that those prices are going to be going up. But uh, for medical, for dental, all that type of stuff, it's been far less expensive. Even before I had my carte vitale, it was far less expensive than what I was spending in the U.S. And that probably was less expensive to me than what I was anticipating as well. So hopefully that answers your question. But of course, you don't. It just depends on what you're willing to compromise for where you live. So, if you're willing to have a smaller place and maybe not a fanciest area of town, and whether it's unfurnished, that sort of thing. You in this area here, you can find a nice one-bedroom apartment in a maybe not the nicest part of town, but not in some awful part of town, but and depending on what floor it's on and things, if it has a lift in the building. But you can probably hear, I suspect it's even 600 euros or so, something like that. The problem that a lot of, especially American expats, are going to be encountering right now anyway, is that the exchange rate's not great. So it used to be like when I first came here, make it sound like I've been here for 30 years, but last year, prior to the election and all that, the exchange rate was getting pretty close to parity. So it's just about $1 for $1 for €1 type thing, and now I think it's around 85 cents per euro. So so essentially pricing here has gone up by about 15% just for the exchange rate, and which is not great, but we'll see what happens with France's current situation with the financial crisis. Of course, the U.S. is probably not going to be doing all that great in the next few months. I mean, the jobs report wasn't good. So, we'll see what happens. But if the US improves and Europe kind of starts to fade a little bit, that should be beneficial, supposedly. I'm not a financial expert, but it should be beneficial to the exchange rate, make the dollar stronger. But with all these crazy tariffs and hoo-ha that's going on, it's just tough to tough to gauge what's going to be happening. Let's see. Hopefully that helps. Let's see. Bernadette, yes, I would love to hear if the expenses are lining up too. Yeah, and the exchange rate can make a big difference. Yeah, so that honestly, the exchange rate's been the biggest issue so far. That it's dropped. Well, I mean, it was never at $1. It was never 1-on-1. So while I've been here, but it was probably around 98 cents, something like that, 98 cents or so when I first moved here, 97, 98 cents, and now it's around 85 cents. So that so without doing anything, that in itself just raised the prices for us by 12, 14%. So Ms. Sierra, thank God I got married to a Frenchman, so I don't have to deal with visas. Yeah, it's I'm sure that makes it a whole lot easier. Lulu, bonjour, Jeff and all. Oh, Lulu, glad you could make it. Robin, thanks so much. Yes, if you could hit that like button, that would be awesome. I really appreciate that, y'all. But let's see. Pamela has Muscovy ducks. Oh, wow. Okay. Oops. Scroll around here. Jean-Marc, you need around 1,750 euros per month for your visa application for a single applicant. Yeah, and I'm sure that changes. I think they bump it up a little bit every year type thing because of inflation, whatnot. So, but check with your visa folks. They'll put on there what you need to have. I know that when I went through Fab Insurance to get my insurance and for my first year health insurance and that, I want to say they recommended, it was not a firm figure, but they recommended that if you had like 25,000, because I came here as a retiree, and so no income, no aside from residual like eventually Social Security and things of that sort. But my first year here was on savings, and it was so they just suggested having at least 25,000 in savings, and so that seemed to work fine for me getting my visa. Let's see, Bernadette, prices are continuing to go up here in the U.S. Yeah, I saw that a federal judge had shot down the tariffs, but I think they've got until like mid-October or something like that to figure all that out. And I'm sure that there's going to be appeals, and they're going to tie it all up as much as they can before they get it to the Supreme Court. So, just more money kind of pissed away that's kind of dealing with all this stuff. But it's really killing small businesses there. And I don't get it, because they used to have, they even struck out the de minimis ruling that they all consider to be this big loophole. But so if you ship something that was less than $800 to the U.S., there was no duties, taxes, tariffs that could be applied to it. But the administration got rid of that too. So I think that was in response to things like Temu and Shine sending so many cheap things coming in from China, and but it kills. I think, and on top of that, the French post office, most of the European post office, even the UK, I believe, have stopped doing shipments to the US unless it's less than $100 worth of something that's a gift to somebody, because they don't know how to handle the tariffs right now. Everything's in such flux. They don't know, who to charge for them, how it's going to get paid, all that stuff. So I think even DHL may have stopped doing some like personal shipments. I know they might still do business shipments and that, but it's a mess. It's just an absolute mess, and for absolutely no reason. But so anyway, yes, it's driving up prices everywhere, and of course causing global havoc with trade. So, Miss Sierra, much cheaper in the smaller cities in France. Paris is very expensive. Yep. Lodging is nearly impossible for a reasonable rent. Absolutely. Yeah, Paris is super expensive. And that's why, like I said, I've been looking at Lyon, but it may not be Lyon, because it just depends on what it ends up being for expense. So I'm also exploring, Dijon's a close second. So if it turns out that Lyon doesn't work out, I think Dijon would work out. So we'll see. Let's see, Jean-Marc, no expensive monthly U.S. medical premiums, even if you have to pay for healthcare without the carte vitale. Yes. Your first year, you'll have to have the insurance coverage, but it's still, for what I paid for mine, which was slightly more expensive because I took the plan that didn't have the medical exam was required. So that, of course, makes it probably quite a bit more expensive. But even at that, I think mine still was around $200 a month, and that was still less than what I was paying for health insurance in the U.S. So, and of course now with Carte Vitale, I have a mutuelle that tops it off, and so the Carte Vitale will typically cover 70% of your expense, whatever expense you have. And some things are fully covered, but generally speaking, it'll cover 70%. And then you get a mutuelle that'll cover the other 30%. And the mutuelle pricing does fluctuate depending on who the provider is, type thing. So you do have to do some research on, the different providers and the different levels. They have different levels of coverage, so you can get more, eye care coverage than other ones, or less coverage, and it saves you some money, and maybe some better dental coverage, things like that. So there are some levels associated with it. But at my level and my age, and a lot of it's based on your age, so it'll go up every year, a little bit. It doesn't seem like it's not some significant jump, but it'll go up every year. But mine is 64 euros a month for that mutuelle. So it essentially, because my medications are covered, really just so far, just about everything's been covered with it, that I consider it a wash. So I pay 64 euros a month, but for what it saves me in medications or other things that I might have to have had some sort of copay essentially on type thing. That's all. I haven't had to do any of that. So let's see. Lynn Marie, is Perpignan considered the least expensive area to live in? I believe so. Oops, I don't want to skip over this. I believe this area should be one of the cheapest areas in France. There might be some cheaper areas in maybe like the central rural areas, but I think as far as small cities go, Perpignan, if it's not the cheapest, it's certainly one of the cheapest areas to live in. So, that it just gets more expensive the further north you go. So it's probably a little bit more expensive in Narbonne, a little bit more expensive in Béziers, more expensive in Montpellier. That sort of thing, but still, that's not going to compare to like, Nice or, Lyon, and going up toward Paris and some other major cities type thing. So let's see, declutter, dream, depart. Let's see, oh man, gotta go. Hope to catch. Oh well, they're probably gone now, but thank you for stopping in. Really appreciate that. Let's see. John Mark, one tip: transfer USD into pound sterling, then back to euros, get more for your buck. Well, I'm not sure. Well, I've never looked into it, so I guess I would have to look into it to see if that's true. I don't know. It's still the dollar versus the pound, so I don't know that that's particularly doing well either. So, but to be honest, I haven't looked into it. So, let's see. Thank you. That was helpful. Okay, cool. Miss Yara, France issues all those paid holidays. They need to cut some of those holidays. And Miss Yara, that's always going to be contentious. Coming from an American perspective, yeah, it's a lot of holidays that they have, plus all the time that they normally get, things like that. So I get it. But you don't. There are other ways you probably could do it without having to necessarily look at the first thing you want to do is just cut holidays. There's probably other things you can do with the rich to, have them pay more of their share. So, Janet, Jeff, U.S. prices are going up and up as well. Yeah, no doubt. Let's see, Jan, bonsoir. Let's see, is a down payment or security deposit required when renting a flat in France? Yes. Yeah, I don't know if it's a general rule, but it's generally a month. Some of them might charge you a couple of months. Some places, depending on the situation, might charge you 3 months rent, and then or they might ask you to pay for 3 to 6 months rent up front. It all depends. Everything is so kind of just determined by whoever the landlord is. And France is not, they don't have a lot of the same concept in the US of like apartment complexes. They do have them, and they seem to be building more of them, but it's not a widely known concept here for just having dedicated rental facilities that are managed by some company, and you go in and you make an application and you look at the apartment and all that. So not like I said before, somebody starts to read me on that. I'm sure they do have that periodically, but it's not like you can just go in on Google and say, what are the apartment complexes in Lyon? Because that concept is not widely accessible here. It's almost, it's probably 90%, at least 90% private owner owned that you're renting from. So it really just depends on them as to what they're looking for on that. Let's see, Bernadette, great advice on the money exchange, Jean-Marc. Thanks. Yeah, that might be very good. But like I said, I haven't looked into it, so I can't speak to it. Yeah, and you're right, Sierra. Those stupid tariffs are not helping. They're not helping anybody. I don't know where the money's going in the U.S. I can guess as to where I think the money's going, but it's not. They're saying it's going to paying off the national debt, but that's a little sus. So let's see. The Beasto Kid, is it easier for EU citizens to find rental accommodation? I would say yes, and especially even if you're not an EU citizen, if you have a French job with a French income, that'll make it a lot easier too, because that's something that people can understand that, okay, I see you have this income, you're being paid by this company, there's a lot of employee rights here. The reason they're so hung up on it here is that the tenants have so many rights. And so if you get a bad tenant, it's probably very, very hard to get rid of them here. I mean, it could take, a year and a half, something like that. So as an estimate, just throwing it out there. So they tend to be very, very much more careful with vetting people and wanting information. So when you come in as a new immigrant, no income, maybe this Social Security thing, which they may not understand from the U.S., all that sort of thing. Those are flags to them. So it's harder to find. But yeah, if you're an EU citizen, probably much easier. If you have a French job with a French income, probably the easiest. And you're an EU citizen, probably the easiest way to find something. So that would open up a lot more opportunities than what I'm seeing right now for mine. So let's see. Jean-Marc, thanks. Is it pound sterling? 1 pound is 1.17 euros. So you have what you spend. Well, but again, Jean-Marc, it depends on what the exchange rate is also between the US dollar and the pound. So, and plus you lose some of that if it's because it's not going to be a direct one-on-one. You're going to be paying some fees for the transaction. So that's what has to be kind of factored into it. But it still might be beneficial. So, oops, God dang, this thing is very sensitive when trying to scroll. Let's see, Rose, Fab had waiting list to speak with, so went with someone else to get visa application appointment. All the expat podcasters are helping the local small business owners in France. Yeah, I am sure that's cool. That's very cool. I'm surprised about Fab had a waiting list. There must be a huge influx of people reaching out to them. So let's see, Bernadette, agree, Ms. Sierra, on the tariffs, but some companies are taking advantage and using the tariffs as an excuse to raise prices. Dollar stores raising prices on old stock sitting in the warehouse. Yeah, you can pretty much guarantee that companies are going to take advantage of whatever they can to make more money. So, Janet, Jeff, have you considered Orleans? No, I haven't. There's a lot of them that I haven't. I mean, I've probably 98% of the country I haven't really done much more exploration with. Right now, Lyon is kind of my focus, just because it has really good connectivity with. My objective is to try to do some more traveling around Europe, and so, and Orleans and all these other ones have some great connectivity. I'm not trying to diss anybody. It's just that I don't want to be exploring all over the place, because to me right now, and everybody has a different mindset as to how they research things. But for me, if I decide, okay, I want to go to Lyon or Dijon, and I've been to both places, and they're both beautiful. It just depends on which one is going to be, which I know Dijon would be more affordable, but for me, I'd rather go live there for a while and see if it's going to work rather than doing something that's like a 2 week trip and then like, well, that kind of worked, and or do something else because I have my pet, and so I don't want to just leave her to go do that. And of course, there'd be a pet sitter that would come in and all that sort of thing, but that's additional expense versus me just going to Lyon, trying it out for 6 months, a year, whatever. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, and then that gives me an opportunity to go explore other places, like Lille or Orléans or wherever, Normandy, Brittany, something like that, just to try other places. But right now, I don't consider it to be like I need to go find a place that's going to be my forever home. I'm still just kind of researching things. And so I just want to be able to go someplace, just pick a place, not obsess about it, move to it, check it out for a year, something like that. If it works out, great. I keep missing the thing. Great. If it doesn't work out, that's okay too. I can find another place. Like I said, Perpignan is a perfectly nice city. It's not. I don't have any issue with the city itself. I've met some really good friends here. I don't. It's just not what I want. And so as time moves along, kind of your wants and desires tend to morph. And so right now it's really a larger city is what I'm thinking I want. And if I get into Lyon, it might be that I'm like, you know what? I don't want this. So I'll just find another place. But so, yeah, no, so I'm not exploring, I'm not throwing a wide net as to what I'm looking for, but that's kind of my thought process. So let's see. Rob T. Hi, Jeff. Have the fires abated in the South? Yeah, I haven't heard a peep about them in quite a while. We've had some rain too. So that probably helped out a lot. I mean, we need a lot more rain, but, and I think they've even had rain in northern Spain now. So I haven't really heard any more about fires in Spain either. So hopefully those are all under control. Let's see. Noni, are there agents who can help you decide on the different mutuelle? Someone who doesn't have a financial gain in mind. I have a Medicare agent who gets paid for helping me. I don't know if there probably are what they would consider to be independent insurance brokers here. Like they have them in the United States too. I don't know that they're truly independent, other than it's just they can give you the different options for different plans for different companies and kind of help you be able to decide what you'd want. I don't know that they have any like people that you would pay a fee to, and they're a fiduciary to you to help you find something. I just took an easier route and just went through Fab Insurance, and they lined me up with the mutuelle. So, and I didn't think the price was all that bad. If in a couple of years I decide that I want to try something else, I can check with some other companies and see what they charge. But for now, it's perfectly fine. I don't know that it'd be that dramatically different. I don't know if one's 64 euros and one is 30 euros, type thing. So, so I can't really answer your question. Sorry about that, but I suspect that there are people who can help you identify other companies who might have plans, but I think that's just something you'd have to go check. Everything just seems to be so individualized here, where where in the States it's a lot easier to potentially find people that are independent agents and all that. There are a lot of mutuelle agents here, agencies. There's a lot of real estate agencies. There's a lot of pharmacies. There's a lot of this and a lot of that sort of thing. So. But nobody's interconnected. There's no like, okay, if you're 62 years old, this is what your mutuelle is going to cost. Because there's also different levels of coverage. So there's, it starts from level 1, and I don't know what level it goes up to, 15, 20, 10, something like that. So mine's a level 3. But I don't know that I can tell you the difference between a level 3 and a level 2, other than my level 3 must provide some additional coverage for something level 2 doesn't. So. Let's see, Janet, the Grand Est is one of the cheapest. Okay, well, that's good to know. That's good to know. This area here, though, definitely I know is one of the cheapest areas to live in France. Oh, and Ms. Yara is confirming that Orléans is a great middle-sized city worth looking into. Annette from NOLA. Bonjour, bonsoir. Let's see. Bernadette's asking, does Orléans have, and she might have answered it further down here, something like that. Um, I would imagine any other mid-sized city probably does have really good public transport. Perpignan, so far, for a mid-sized, well, it's probably on the smaller side of a mid-sized city. Um, the bus system's pretty good. I mean, it's fairly extensive. The timings are not great on it, and it'd be nice if they had trams or bus systems that ran until 10 or 11 o'clock at night. But for some reason they don't. So it is what it is. Let's see, Robin. The Fed is expected to cut its rate by 25 basis points in September meeting. So I don't expect the dollar to improve anytime. So yeah, that certainly won't help the dollar either. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, so Miss Ciara, you're so right, Jeff. I own a flat in Paris, and it's so difficult to evict a bad tenant. I know just do short-term rentals when I'm not in Paris. It is a real problem. Yeah, I mean, it works well as a tenant, obviously. So I can't bellyache too much about it. But as a landlord, it probably is a huge headache to do that. John Mark, I went to a nice brocante today. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I wish there were more brocantes around here that are accessible without having a car. But I haven't found them yet. Let's see, Bernadette. True, the fees might add up on exchanges. Wouldn't hurt to compare. You're right. You're right. I mean, I could certainly. I've never looked into it, so I can't really speak to it. I was able to get an interview with Nan. Oh, she's super nice with Fab Insurance in August. Oh, okay, cool. French Connections is booked up too right now. That's just incredible. Good for them. Good for them. Echo, please hit the like button. Oh yeah, please hit the like button if y'all have it too. The Visto, Marseille, my kind of town. Yeah, Marseille looked like a nice city too. I really think I just wanted to get away, which I mean, it's always going to sound weird, but I kind of want to get away from the Med. It's just, or this kind of South France, just because I don't really want that much sun. So yeah, I'd rather have a little bit more weather options. Yeah, Janet, yeah, she said that I believe Orléans has a tram. Let's see, and towns, places in the Grand Est have tram. Yeah, it seems like every other city has some sort of tram network. And, like I said, Dijon has it, and it's only slightly bigger than Perpignan, and which I think it was approved. But this is hearsay. Okay, I don't know this for a fact, but it was approved in Perpignan and funded, but the city government put the kibosh on it. For whatever reason they have behind doing that, but. So it was a potential here, but they never used it. Let's see. People can sell their home and buy a house or condo in France, which is a good idea if they get a long stay visa and plan on a permanent move. Sell their home and buy a house or condo in France. Yeah, they absolutely can. I just would never do that sort of thing without. Well, of course, I don't have a reason to, but I just wouldn't do it without. Knowing that was a city or a town that I wanted to live in for a long time. But I do understand that there are people that have like several pets or something like that, or maybe a special need that they need to, they're not going to be like, oh, I'm going to try this. And then a year later decide, oh, I'm going to move, sort of thing. So I realize that there are other limitations people have as to why they might need to buy something right away. That's just that wasn't for me. So one of these days I may buy something, but right now I'm just sticking with it. Janet, someone used ChatGPT to find their mutuelle. That kudos to them, I suppose. I just don't trust the AI stuff. There's so many opportunities for them to give misleading information that if I'm just going to write up something or a description of something or whatever type thing, that's perfectly fine. But if I were doing something that was going to be based, I'm going to be basing it on something that's like my personal bits. I would never trust any of them. Any of them can do that. So, but good for them for being able to find it. Elizabeth, Rennes seems to be a good option too. Yeah, believe me, I'm sure there's plenty of good cities around here. Oh, Leah, bonjour. Thank you for joining. Let's see, Selena, I was in Avignon last week and I asked our tour guide if he had seen a lot of expats coming into town. He said no. He had no idea what I was talking about. Yeah, I don't know if Avignon would be one of the first places that people tend to go from the, excuse me, from the U.S., but it's probably a place they'll find, because it certainly looks like a beautiful city, beautiful area. But I imagine most people are still focused on Paris and the region around there, sort of thing, or Nice. So Bernadette, there are a lot of nice places to live in France, and trying to choose is hard. I will rent until I find my spot. That's totally understand. That's exactly what my technique is. I'm not married to a spot, so I just I came to Perpignan kind of as I've never heard of Perpignan prior to reaching out to the estate agents here and then connecting with Valerie. But Valerie was the only one who responded and worked like a dog to find me a place and got it all set up and took care of everything. So voila, je suis là. Made it to Perpignan. So but yeah, Perpignan certainly was never on my radar for looking for a place here in France. It just, I just wanted to find something I could get a long-term lease, didn't have to travel to France to get it. Because I figured, look, if I don't like it, if I don't like the area, at worst case, it's a year. I can put up with that. So let's see. Dana, correct about AI, Jeff. I speak from experience. Yeah, I just, like I said, it certainly has its place for me. I don't discount it. I don't just say that it's like, oh, this is all crap, type thing. But I would never just rely on it as like something that was going to be like make some financial decisions. Because I know that there's some people who, and I hope that doesn't insult anybody that's in the chat, but I know that there's some people that are on YouTube that put on there saying, oh, AI chose my place to live and the AI chose me what to do with this. And it's like, okay, you're a much better risk taker than I am with things. So let's see, Robin, are you looking for a place with a lift? Is a walk up a deal breaker, or are you deal breakers? Let's see, or what are your deal breakers as you conduct your search? Well, I would prefer a lift. My first apartment here was a fourth floor walk up, which in the US is a fifth floor. And that was killer for me. I just, I could do it, but I really could only do it like maybe twice a day sort of thing. It was just like, I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm going to go meet friends for lunch. And then, oh, I'm going to go meet friends for dinner. And then, oh, I've got to go run an errand. And, everything had to be planned as to, okay, when I leave, this is what I'm doing, type thing. And then when I come back, going down the stairs wasn't such a big deal. It's going back up. And especially if you're carrying, a couple of bags or 3 bags of groceries or stuff, if you want to buy something, trying to drag it up to that apartment. Not my dealio. So I ended up just, that's why this place works out great. I mean, it's a 2-story row house that I'm in, but I don't, if my apartment was on the first floor or something like that, that wouldn't bug me to have the stairs. Even the second floor wouldn't be all that bad. But anything higher than that, I would want to have a lift. So, I just, it's not a deal breaker, but I just wouldn't, if it didn't have a lift, I wouldn't rent anything that was above a second floor, which would be a third floor in the US. So let's see. Let's see, Cheryl, I'm renting for now in Paris until I find my spot. I'm living in a shoebox now. Those places can be really tiny. That's why I'm so interested in other more affordable places in France. Yeah, and I suspect actually that coming from Paris, everything will be much more affordable. So you've got a wide selection of things to choose from here. But like I said, it's just, once I get some more details, like I said, Valerie is reaching out to her contact in Lyon for me and one in Dijon. And once I get some information from them, I'll be able to kind of share that with y'all too, to say that, kind of this is what I'm finding for pricing. It's not like I'm looking for something that's, 300 euros. I know that they're not going to have it. Be great, especially if it's in the, first arrondissement or, the Presqu'île or something like that. But I know that's not going to happen. So but what I've found so far, mostly online, it just looks like the closer you're up, and it's always the case. I mean, the closer you are to inner city, the more expensive it is, obviously. And so, but I mean, some of them are going for like 3,000 euros a month or 3,500 euros a month, and it's like looks like a really nice place, but that's not going to be where Jeff's going to be living. So let's see, Ico. Let's see, Toulon city government also decided not to put in a tram, which had been approved. Yeah, I don't know what the issue is with that. I know that the mayor here, and maybe a lot of the city council people are the same way, but the mayor here was seems to be part of the far right groups. They were convicted of some sort of embezzlement or some sort of corruption issue that was going on with Marine Le Pen and all that. But I don't know the details. So what I say is alleged. Just it's. But anyway, he's still in office, and I don't know if they're all that way. That they just like, no, we're not going to have any of that. Just keep the buses. Don't worry about the other stuff. Let's see, Janet, I use GTP to do preliminary research, then do further info on my own. That's the way to do it. I mean, I like I said, I would absolutely use AI for kind of giving me a high level sort of thing. But the folks, and I don't know if that was necessarily the only case that they had, but they said and it might have been just clickbait too, for all I know. But it was like, I let AI choose where I was going to live, and it's like, okay, good luck with that. Let's see. Oh, we got Allison. Hi, Jeff. Just popping in and say hi and send best wishes. Oh, okay. Well, hello, Allison. Thanks so much for joining in, and congratulations on getting your new digs. So very excited that you had your first live from Ohio last night. So if anybody has a chance, you don't know about Allison, which is hard to believe with people that are on right now, but go check out Elder Gal. But just an awesome person. Let's see. Elizabeth Ann. Hi, Jeff. Hi, Freya. Even though I don't see you on screen right now. Sorry that I'm late. Oh, well, I'm glad you can join in. Yeah, Freya makes her periodic appearances, but she's it is what it is. Allison, I'm hoping to find Eldergal. I'm hoping you find the perfect place in either Lyon or Dijon. Well, thank you so much. I hope so too. I'm sure Dijon will work with something if it turns out that Lyon's too expensive, but I am still hoping there's Lyon. Let's see. Elizabeth Ann. Oh, she's saying that Allison did. Oh, Allison, I did see that you had an apartment video pop up. So I'm going to have to watch that. I don't know if I'll watch it tonight, but I'll watch it tonight or tomorrow. But, just super thrilled that you've found a place to live there. That's awesome. Let's see, Deborah, for now I'm considering places in the Southeast and Riviera. However, I would have to spend a summer in the area to make sure I can handle the heat. Yeah. And when I first moved here and I had told the guys at Chateau de Colombe, which is Journey to the Chateau YouTube channel, that, I ended up settling in, because I'd been in contact with them beforehand. I told them I ended up with Perpignan. The first comment back was like, oh, that's just too hot for me. That's just too hot. And yes, it's warm. It definitely is warm here, but I've lived in hotter places, and it's only hot for a couple of months. It's, of course, now the heat waves we've had this year, probably maybe 2.5 months, we've had hot, what I would consider hot weather. But again, compared to, Austin, Texas, this was nothing. Of course, I had air conditioning in Austin. First summer here, I didn't have air conditioning. So let's see. Pixie, have you ever been homesick for the USA? Nope. No. I mean, I have a lot of friends in the US and things like, and my brother and sister-in-law and nieces are there, but no, I'm not at all homesick for it. But Ray, hi Jeff. I noticed your accent in French is getting pretty good. Félicitations. Oh, well, merci beaucoup. I'm trying, and obviously, the things like italki and some of the working with Babbel and all that has been helping. And of course, talking to people here has been helping some. I still mess up, and I will always mess up. I don't, have any pretense that I'm going to be somebody's going to be like, oh, you're American? It's like, they'll know. Let's see, Ciara, good idea. I was lucky I rented a nice place 15 years ago. And then the owner wanted to sell, and I was able to buy it. Paris is so hard to find a reasonable place to buy unless you're rich. Truth, truth, Ms. Sierra. That's very true. Elizabeth Ann, I will watch your whole live stream when it's posted as a video, Jeff. Oh, well, thank you, Elizabeth Ann. I appreciate that. Let's see. I go, look at Toulon. It's cheaper than Nice and a beautiful city. Great bus system, but no tram. Yeah, I still want a bigger city, I think, right now. That's what I'm targeting. So the Be Still Kid. Babbel is great. Yeah, Babbel certainly has its place. I really like Italki just because it gives me an opportunity to talk to somebody that's not just, obviously you're paying them, but it's not very expensive. And you can set up the times yourself. You can schedule whenever it's convenient for you, et cetera. There's no subscriptions. I know it sounds like an ad, but they're not sponsoring this video. But it's just, that's been very helpful to me. Just be able to kind of learn at my own pace and be able to focus what I want to learn rather than what they're telling me to learn, which kind of happens with Babbel and Duolingo and these other apps and that. So, all right. Well, no, I just next week I'll have an update on what we're experiencing here with the way the government's going, and I'm sure, like I said, tomorrow we'll find out that the vote of no confidence will go through. That I'm sure that there will be no confidence, and that prime minister will likely be out, and we'll see what kind of chaos that causes for the whole process. But let's see, Elizabeth Ann, have you visited Cannes? It's very close to you. Oh yeah, no, I've been to Cannes a few times. Yeah, it's easy to get to by bus. I don't think that I'd ever want to live out there just because it's super touristy, and during the summer it just gets jammed with people and vehicles, and there's a couple ways in and out, but if you're relying on a bus, it's one way in, one way out sort of thing, and I don't want to deal with that sort of thing. I don't want to deal with a billion people walking around, and the beach isn't important to me. I'm not a beach person, so so yeah, no, I've been to Cannes though. It's a pretty area. It's a very pretty area. Judy, hit the like button, everybody. Yes, please hit the like button. Appreciate that. Let's see, Ms. Ciara, responding to Pixie, I do miss the large stores in the States, but other than that, not too much, especially now. Yeah, I don't shop a lot, so it's not that's not a big deal to me. I guess if there's something I do kind of miss, it's Amazon being like really responsive. Although I don't really want to support Amazon with it being the way it is right now, but there's some things it's just easier to buy through them, and deliveries to here are just so difficult. Now, maybe in a larger city, it isn't such a problem, but here it just does things just take so long to get here. So let's see, Elizabeth Ann. Oh wow, Jeff, sounds kind of like South Miami Beach. Yeah, yeah. Well, obviously, South Miami Beach has a lot more to offer, type thing, but it absolutely is. And during the summer, it just gets jammed, and that's not my jam, So let's see, Bernadette, did you hear about Janice and having to start her visa application over? Such a trooper. I did see something about one of her videos, or a couple of her videos, was talking about having an issue with her visa. And I don't know what the particular issue is with it, but I hope she gets that all resolved. That would be a pain. That would be a pain. I will say the renewal process for my visa was pretty straightforward. They got handled in a couple of months, and it's all fine. Let's see, Pixie B, Jeff, how many times have you visited the Mediterranean Sea since living in France? Maybe three times. Like I said, I'm not really a beach person. I wanted to go see it just because I've never seen it, so I did go see it, but that was good enough for me. Let's see. Decluttered your. Oh, you're still here. I'm with you, Army's. Yeah, Amazon. Yeah, I just don't feel right buying through them. So I do try to do things more local, and but there are some things you can't find them local, and again, with a bigger city, I probably could find some more things that I wouldn't have to rely on that. Oregonians loving Portugal. Oh, cool. Good to see you. What train would I take from Paris to get to Perpignan? Oh, there's probably a few trains. There is one. I know that there's more than one. The TGV runs through Perpignan, and um, I know that a friend of mine, just took a train up to Paris and then the Eurostar over to London. Um, and I want to say she got on in Perpignan at 11 o'clock and got into Paris around 4. So, I think just normally it's like maybe a 5 to 5.5 hour trip, something like that. So there are trains that will bring you this way, and they'll go through Dijon and Lyon, come down that direction. So, but yeah, Perpignan certainly is decently connected with trains. That's not an issue. It definitely has regional trains as well as TGVs as options. Let's see, Elizabeth Ann. I used to live in South Beach. I came to hate it. Love Naples, Florida, much more laid back and easygoing, plus more nature. Yeah, I lived in Melbourne Beach for a few years when I worked at NASA at the Kennedy Space Center. That was right after college, and I like that. I like that area. It was nice. It was kind of a short drive to get to Orlando. Obviously I lived at the beach, but of course, even then, I lived in Melbourne Beach. I probably went to the beach maybe 10 times while I lived there. So usually just when people came to visit. So let's see, Leah, Jeff, I'm anxious to hear the updates as to what is happening there in France. Getting rid of the Easter holiday did not go over. Yeah, it certainly did not go over well. No, and not unexpectedly. And the way it was presented was pretty bad. It just, it's like, and it's never going to be easy for people to take that kind of news. But when it's delivered as though, the French are lazy and they need to be working more, it's like that's never going to play well. And it's like, I think there's some other places you could probably look to do some digging for money other than taking away people's vacations, or holidays. Yes, but I'll have some more. I'll have some more updates next Sunday about that, just to see over the next few weeks. We're probably going to have several updates going on and what's going on with what's happening here. Let's see, Bernadette. Yes, that worries me now on doing the visa application on my own. Yeah, well, I don't know if your issue is with doing it on your own or if the issue is what's happening in France. I don't know that, well, it could potentially impact travel here, especially if it does impact air traffic controllers and train operators and all that. But I think right now they're only planning on it being like the 18th, I think the 18th and 19th of September for the mass strikes. But there are people that we're talking about that if they start doing some of these other unions and other groups start joining in, it could last for a few weeks, sort of thing. So I think they said the last one that was a big one lasted 4 to 6 weeks, something like that, which, not great, but it's one of those things you just have to put up with. It's, things happen. Let's see, Oregonian. Oh, you're quite welcome. Yep, quite welcome. I hope it's helpful. That's the whole point of doing this. Let's see, Deborah, I'm looking for a city that has a tram and/or metro. I also want a larger city with good public transportation, access to the TGV, and an international airport. There are probably several cities like Toulouse. Bordeaux. I don't know if Bordeaux. Jean-Marc, does Bordeaux? I think you're from Bordeaux. Do they are living in Bordeaux? Do they have a metro in Bordeaux? I know they have the trams, but there are several city options that kind of fit that bill, Deborah. But that's one of the reasons why I was looking at Lyon, was that it just has so much good connectivity with like trains to Italy, trains to Germany, all that sort of thing. So, and along obviously closer to Paris, that sort of thing. Let's see. Pixie, there's a fascinating interview of an older woman in her early 70s who bought a house online, sight unseen. Her house had no electricity or heat. She made it through the winter. Kudos to her. That is something, even if I'm approaching, I'm still in my 60s, but I wouldn't have done that probably in my 50s, so good on her. Let's see, Robin. Yes, train between Perpignan and Paris is fast considering the ground you cover. I took it in June after visiting Couleur. Just the area by the station left a lot to be desired, but that's typical. Yeah, yeah. Train stations are typically not in great locations, but that. Let's see. I go Toulouse is absolutely beautiful and it might be a good fit. Yeah, it just depends on what you want. That Toulouse is a beautiful city, things like that. I don't know. I guess I just felt it was a bit too. Um, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe the area I was in was just too many university students or something, which I know Lyon's going to have that too. But it just felt not. It was just for whatever reason, just wasn't really quite my vibe. Beautiful city though. Beautiful city. Robin, oh yes, Deborah, check out Bordeaux. It has great transit. You may never want to. Yeah, Bordeaux looks like an absolutely beautiful city. You know. Oregonians, Metro's on strike September 10th and 18th in Paris. Yeah, and I suspect we might have more notices about those things over time too. So I just don't know how extensive it's going to be throughout the rail network with SNCF and all that. That if it's going to be like throughout France, or if they're going to focus on the larger cities, that I don't know. So I'll definitely be keep track of what happens in Lyon and Dijon as well to see if they're more impacted, less impacted, sort of thing. Jan, I'm retired originally from Virginia, hanging out in Bansko, Bulgaria for 90 days. It's very economical. Yeah, I would imagine it is. I've been looking at Airbnbs in France, so expensive. But yeah, and it's also, I'm now probably entering the shoulder season, but you're right in the kind of in the throes of high vacation for it too. Now kids are getting back into school, that might be dropping off a little bit, but probably still have some honeymoon period of the shoulder season to go. But yeah, I actually had kind of explored Bulgaria, and that it's just that I just didn't like the kind of connectivity with things. Because again, I wanted to travel around Europe, and certainly less expensive, but I don't know that the weather was that appealing, and language would have been much harder, all that sort of thing. So anyway, let's see, the Beasto Kid. Poitiers looks cool. Yeah, I no doubt there are lots of really cool cities. Dana, many thanks for the chat, Jeff. Well, thank you so much, Dana, for stopping in. And Declare saying Bordeaux is pretty, but growing more and more expensive. Yeah, that was one of the reasons why I decided not to really explore Bordeaux at the onset, was that it just was. I already knew that it was going to be very expensive, and I just figured, well, we'll just land somewhere and then I can figure it out. Time goes on. Elizabeth Ann, I feel guilty living in Bordeaux since I don't drink alcoholic beverages. Odd that you would say that, because the friend of mine here, Richard, well, neither of us drink, type thing. So he's my housemate, and we've been friends for years. But neither of us drink, and so his concern when we're thinking about moving to France and what we're looking at for cities and that, we talked about Bordeaux, but he's like, isn't that kind of weird that we'd be in the middle of some, huge wine region of the world type thing, and neither of us drink, and I said, well, that wouldn't really bug me, but apparently it bugged him. So we end up in Perpignan, which is also, I think just about anywhere in France will have wine regions or some sort of alcoholic drink that's around, but but so far we haven't been shunned, so it's working it out. Let's see. Bernadette, I love Bordeaux and it was one of my top picks, but rent is too expensive now. Yeah. Miss Yara, Jeff, you'll figure it out. Just take your time. Yeah, and appreciate that. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. So I figured if I at least try someplace for a few months to a year, we'll see what happens. Miss Yara, pray that there's not garbage strike. Yeah, that's the word. That would be awful. I really hope they get things resolved so people are happy. I just get past all this stuff so that the folks are happy. Let's see. Oregonians, do you have saving apps for the local grocery stores? Yeah, I just don't buy that many groceries. So, but yeah, Intermarché has an app and Carrefour has an app where you can track points and you get deductions and you get discounts on things. So they have those. They do have those here. Let's see. Elizabeth Ann, I don't want to rent an apartment there when there are people who are wine lovers who would be displaced because I took an apartment there. Well, that's admirable. But you know, you first. You first. Keep that in mind. Okay. Oh, Freya's back. She's getting some more treats. Get some more. She can't be away from them for too long. Let's see, Rose. As a French language university instructor, I'm sure the Perpignan City Fathers don't need those students roaming the city at all hours. Yeah, that probably a lot of truth in that too. Let's see, Bernadette. Yes, I'm definitely getting inspiration from all the expats in France on YouTube, as it gives me hope that I can get there too. Oh, Bernadette, you absolutely can. I mean, look, I always make a point. I'm not wealthy, so it just there are people that do things more frugally than I do, but I'm certainly not some sort of spendthrift. I don't have a ton of money to spend on things. It's just, you have to, just as long as you're willing to do compromises. Let's see, 1 Acre Farm. Hi, Jeff. Did you have to get a U.S. mail address for your bank account there? Well, for my French bank account, of course, I've got my French address. For my U.S. account, I have my U.S. address, which, like I said before, I'm renting a room from a friend's house. So, so I have an address there, and my mail gets sent there. And if there's anything that's important that I really need to see, which is exceptionally rare, but if there's anything that comes through that I need to, then they just forward it. They just send it to them. Say they forward it to me. They put it into a FedEx envelope and ship it to me, type thing. So, but it really has to be important. I mean, it can't just be a bank statement. A lot of the stuff you get electronically anymore anyway. So, it's very little need to have a U.S. address, other than just it helps with some of the companies that don't accept foreign addresses. Let's see, Pixie, thank you, Jeff, for running this channel. I have shared it with others who are thinking about relocating to France. You're authentic. We appreciate. Oh, that's very kind of you, Pixie. Well, thank you. No, I really, the whole point of this is to try to make it so that people can do this on their own. It's not, there are companies out there that will help. So if you feel you need help with doing the relocation and that, you obviously should seek them out and, get the help that you feel you need with it. But I just want to show people that it's really not that hard. It's just, you can do it. You do need to meet requirements. I mean, there's not any silver bullet to get you through without having some hoops to jump through, but you can do it. So let's see here. Well, thank you all. Oh, let's see. Rob is asking, remind me, do you have other income besides this channel? Oh, I can't consider this channel having income. It's I would be out on the street if I was relying on the income coming from here. So, grateful that it's monetized and all that sort of thing, but it certainly is not bringing in enough money for me to consider anything other than a hobby. I'm hoping that in time it will grow, but right now, it's just trying to be informational for people. So that's what I'm looking to do. But yeah. Oh my gosh, we've been almost an hour and 20 minutes. Well, I appreciate you all coming in. I hope everyone has a great week. And like I said, next Sunday will be another one. Oh, and by the way, I want to tell everybody, Patricia Brooks and I are having a meetup here in Perpignan on October 2nd. I'm going to be sending out. Not sending out. I'll post something on my channel to show people that where it is. It's here in Perpignan in city center. It's a local restaurant. It's a small restaurant, but we don't know how many people would show up anyway. But we're hoping we can at least get a little bit of a crowd in there and help out the local folks and just get a chance to meet up. So I've just had so many people reach out and want to meet here that I figured, well, maybe we'll just go ahead and try to do some sort of a group meetup. And if you're in the Perpignan area, October 2nd, please. Reach out to me to let me know that you would be here. But I'm going to have, like I said, I'll post it as a post just so people have the information on it. And if you can make it, great. If you can't, we'll we'll see you on these chats, hopefully. So anyway, let me just make sure. Let's see. Let's see, Judy, Jeff, I'm learning from your attitude, calm, cool, collected, not getting too excited about the unknown, rolling with the flow. Yeah, it just, you really, I guess if there's any advice I would have for people that are looking to do this sort of a move, you have to be ready for compromise. You have to be ready for just kind of like, they ask you for a document 3 times, you send it in 3 times. There's no, I'm going to talk sense to you and this is how you need to do your job sort of thing. It's not, that will never go here. So, just expect that you're going to have to pack patience and understanding and more patience. It's things take a little while, but they get worked out. Now, Janice, I have to follow up with Janice to see on her videos to see how she's doing, but I feel bad that she's got to go through that process again with getting things reapplied. But hopefully, that's getting all worked out for her, and she'll get that taken care of. So. Oh, let's see. Oh, declutter. Jeff, do you have a video talking about using French connections? We've looked at them, but they seem pretty costly. No, the thing is that depending on your situation, and I'm just being honest, depending on your situation, I just would never use a relocation company for this. It really wasn't that hard to do. It could be tedious. It could be mind numbing. It can be all kinds of things type thing. But unless you have some relatively complex issue that needs to be addressed type thing, you really can do this, on your own. Whether you're a couple, a single person, I just, and I try to provide resources for that. The resources I used, for doing it. And, but there are people who just feel like they need to have help with it. And there are companies out there that will help you with it. I don't recommend anybody because I've never worked with any of them. So, and I personally would have a hard time spending a lot of money on somebody helping me do something that I could do on my own. So let's see. Robin, does Perpignan have a Christmas market? Yes, they do. It's small. It's small. I wouldn't say it's anything remarkable. The Christmas market tends to be teamed up. I've only been here for one Christmas so far, but the Christmas market seems to be teamed up with like an antiques market. They also host that's open daily in the Plaza Mayol, I think it is. It's out in front of the Palais de Congrès, which is an event center here. But it's not big, and I wouldn't say that it's all that particularly interesting. They have rides and things like that for the kids, but I wouldn't say that it's all that particularly good. I mean, I've seen other videos of Christmas markets around France and Germany and all that sort of thing, which the things look like they were just enormous, lots of local goods, lots of things to do, lots of all that. And this was very sedate, very very small, very sedate. It's nice. They do a nice job of lights and all that sort of thing, but it really just seems like it's a place to, kind of take your kids, ride a few rides, pick up a couple of things, but it's not. I would not travel to Perpignan to go to the Christmas market if it were me. So let's see. What are we missing? Robin, maybe do a video that only covers the step you use to move. That, well, I guess I could do that just to see, like I said, some of the stuff, may change over time. I can just go over what I did and what process I went through. But yeah, I can look to do that, Robin. Thank you for the suggestion. Leah, mind numbing. Yeah, a lot of the stuff. But again, from my past, I've done a lot of mind-numbing stuff. So, paperwork and tediousness and all that sort of thing is not something new to me. And, not comfortable. I don't enjoy doing it, but I can do it. So, let's see. The Visto Kid, looks like you need a French bank account in order to secure a rental and an address to get a bank account. Well, I actually got my rental without the French bank account. But you do need a French address to get a bank account. So, um, but I didn't need the French bank account uh, to get my first rental. But my first rental was also the landlord was well, I'm assuming she's Irish. She lived in Dublin, so um, that may have helped too. That she was also a foreigner. Well, and I'm assuming a foreigner. Again, never met her, but I'm assuming she's a foreigner, and that may have helped the whole process. So if you are looking for a rental here, it probably would help to have a French bank account now because it just everything you do that like getting a carte vitale, getting a bank account. Well, of course, you have to have a bank account in order to get the carte vitale, but getting that type of stuff shows that you are really committed to living in France and making this work, and all of that helps solidify you as a good tenant, potentially good tenant for a landlord. So let's see. Let's see. Greta, French Connection charges 20,000 euros for the full package. Criminelli. I, I don't know what the full package is, but holy cow. If y'all are looking to spend 20,000 euros on something, just give me a holler. I'll be happy to help you for 20,000 euros. So let's see. And I shouldn't say that because I mean, the French Connections people might be watching. It's just that I can't say that I do all the services they do, but holy cow, that's a lot of money. Let's see. Let's see. The Beasto Kid. So any old EU bank account will do for starters. Possibly. Again, that's up to the landlord type thing. You won't be able to get, as far as I know, you won't be able to get a carte vitale with an EU bank account unless it's French. Because I know that there's some, like some friends of mine had a Wise account that they were going to use. They established in Europe, but that turned out to be a Belgian bank account that was associated with that Wise account, and so that didn't work. And so I think they ended up having to get another account opened up or something like that that was French based. So, in any case. Let's see, Leah, Jeff, do you know if you can get a French bank account as a non-resident? Um, well, I got well, and I don't know what you really consider as a resident. The long stay visitor visa worked for mine to get it established because I know that I got mine um, within the first couple of months of moving here. So, um, and I just had the apartment here and I had probably had a utility bill, that sort of thing that was in my name. So it just, I think that's all you really needed with it. I don't know that they look at residency status to see, because I certainly didn't have a residency card then. I just would have had my carte de séjour that was my visa, type thing. So let's see, Leah, no need for a French address for a bank account in France. Okay, I only got it when I had a French address. So Laney, Jeff, do you have any connections in Strasbourg? We are looking to retire there. I do not. Valerie may have some connections in Strasbourg, so I would reach out to Valerie to see, if she's got somebody there that might be able to help you at least identify potential rentals, or if you're looking for a place to buy, things like that. And just to kind of confirm, Valerie will work with rentals as well as purchases. So that Valerie does. Yeah, I'm sure Valerie knows a lot of people, so she may very well be able to help you out with that. So I put her contact information in my video description. So just reach out to her via email, and she'll be happy to talk to you about that. Well, Lane, I'm sorry, Lane. Her email is inside of my video descriptions, so you can just reach out to her through that. And she's very, very good about contacting people and keeping in contact. So, good Lord, we're an hour 30. Okay. Greta, Jeff, can you give me your, yeah, it's in my video descriptions. So if you just go to there and just look through the description, it will show, my Valerie's email. So I don't know that, well, I guess maybe I can type it in here. let's see here. Sorry, I've got all these wires around here I turn this around so I can have my back facing the cat tree, and it doesn't always work. And I'm so used to typing on a French keyboard now that this is weird typing on a US keyboard. Oh, Leah, thank you. Yes, I put her information on all my videos type things so people can reach out. So Ms. Ciara is saying you need a French address to get a French bank account. Like I said, I only got it when I had a French address, so I don't know if you can do it without a French address. I would suspect they'd have an issue with it not being a French address, but you know, and it might depend on which bank you're dealing with too. I know that there's some of them like Credit Agricole, BNP Paribas. They deal a lot. I think they have an English language line. Most of them might have it now. Mine is with Bank Populaire du Sud, and which is more like, they seem to be more like a credit union equivalent, whatever that is here. They don't call them credit unions, but it's kind of the same concept. And like if I move to Lyon, I'll have to move. They have a Bank Populaire up there, but it's for that region. So I will have to officially move my account because they're the same group. So the high level banking is Bank Populaire, but these are sub levels, and so I'll have to transfer one account to the other, and so I'll probably end up with a new account. And they do this all, behind the scenes for me. But if I have any auto payments and things like that, that'll all get transferred too, which I'm sure probably works as well as it does in the U.S. Just put it that way. Lainey, any recommendations on how to start learning French before we relocate next year? Online classes, maybe. Like I said, I've been using italki, and I have a link for them too in my description. And I think you get some sort of special deal if you use the link. And Valerie is not an affiliate link. That one is an affiliate link, but I don't have any idea what I get out of it. It might just be I get a $5 credit if somebody signs up. So. But anyway, that's what I use. But I would probably also use something like Babbel. If you're brand new to it, maybe Babbel will help you kind of get some baseline going. But even with italki, you can get beginner French. And actually, to me, it's been very helpful because you're actually speaking to someone, and talking to them, and they're interacting. You're getting feedback. They're correcting you and all that sort of thing. And everybody, not like I've had a lot of them. The two tutors I've used so far have just been very, very nice and very kind. So, I'll put a post of it. I'll put a post of it. This keyboard's just my laptop keyboard. So this is just a QWERTY American keyboard. My other computer, God dang it, I can't. Here, this one. This monitor is to my other desktop computer, and that's the one that has the French keyboard. So I'll put a post of that though, just so people can see what it looks like. It's just weird because it's instead of a QWERTY, it's a ZERTY, and so like the Q's and the Z's and like I think some of them are moved around a little bit, so it messes with my head because I've been typing, and on an American keyboard, or you should say U.S. keyboard, I used to be very fast. Not so much now because the French keyboards mess me up, and so when I get back onto it, it takes me a little bit to get used to it. So, but I'll put a post, Janet. I'll put a post of that on the YouTube channel so you can see what it looks like. But it helps you with doing all the accents and all that on the characters. So Let's see. So, Lainey, how did you select your Italki instructor? Well, you go in, you can set up your account for free. It doesn't cost anything to sign up with Italki. And then you put in some parameters about like language you want. I think they teach like 150 languages or possibly more. And what it is essentially is it's an aggregator of finding instructors who are native speakers of whatever language you're trying to learn. So, but they'll be scattered around the world. So it depends on where you are, um, what times they're available, things like that. So you can put in filters of, I want a French native speaker. I want them to live in France. Just for me, it was I wanted to live in France just because I wanted it to be same time zone. So it wasn't like I had to be up at 3 a.m. to meet up with somebody, that's in, Vietnam or in Japan or, in the States or whatever type thing. And it gives you however many people meet that criteria. For French, it's a lot. You get several people. They all have a little intro video, and then they'll usually have some sort of a trial that you can do like a 30-minute lesson with them. And that'll give you an opportunity to meet with them, talk, go back and forth, describe what you want to do. I know this is sounding like a sponsorship here, but it's not. But I will have a video coming out of a sponsorship of them, but they were great to sponsor me, which I'm thrilled about. But in any case, that's what Italki is. So you just go through and you can find them, watch the video. If you think you can vibe with them, then you set up a time with them that you pay for a trial lesson and try them out. And if it doesn't, if you don't vibe with them, you don't like them for whatever reason, you're out 6 to 10 euros or something, depending on who they are, type thing. Some might even be less expensive for that half-hour lesson, but it gives you an opportunity to try them out. So let's see. France imports. We got a bank account with BNP Paribas. It's non-residents, but requires a lot of paperwork and a 15,000 euro deposit per person. Well, with a French address, I did not have to put that much in to my account. I think they just took whatever. Like I had cash because, of course, they're not. I'm not going to be able to write them a check from my U.S. account type thing. So I may have had like 100 euros or something like that I opened it up with. So I don't know. Maybe if you have that as a non-resident. Well, I don't know. Did you have a French imports? Did you have a French address, or is that non-resident in that you live like in the UK or something like that, or in the US, and that's what you had to do? Miss Yara. Alliance Francais is in your town is good. Yeah, I'm sure that there's some that are very good with the more immersive training. And that's the same concept. It's just that right now I didn't want to commit to like every day having to go in for like 4 or 5 months or however long it takes to go through their program. So, but yes, yeah, that's probably a better way of doing it just because you are doing it every day. You're getting practice every day. It's for hours at a time. It's not, it's not some hour-long training session you're having with somebody a couple times a week or whatever. So let's see. Leah, congratulations on your sponsor. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's not much, but it's, just happy that they offered it. So, that was exciting. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to go ahead and break it then. It's been, an hour and 40 minutes. Great ideas here. We'll plan on following up again next week and next weekend. We'll just go from there. Elizabeth Ann, let me just see if there's one thing. If one is in the Shenzhen zone, could one apply for an extension if needed? I don't think so. I think that's the thing. If you're on a 90-day visa, I think you have to. You can leave the Shenzhen zone and then have it reset. I think you have to be gone for another 90 days. But I believe in order to do the visa again, you have to do it from your home country. So again, check on that. Consider this Chat GTP. Say Chat Expat Jeff that this is could be false information, but I suspect that's how it works. So otherwise, it would be too easy for people to just keep extending their visas and not ever having to do a long stay visa. So let's see. Okay, a bientôt, everybody. Let's see. Well, okay. Thanks so much. We'll see you all next Sunday, hopefully. And thank you so much for joining. Really do appreciate it. And look forward to talking to you all next week. Au revoir. A bientôt.